Today I'm here with Bill Ryan, independent animal nutritionist and a dairy farm in East Cork. Bill, what else do I need to consider when I'm giving beet to my cows? Is minerals important?
Yeah, and minerals are very important. Like everybody knows, it's well documented. Beet in particular is very low in phosphorus and it has a high phosphorus requirement. Particularly if you're feeding to dairy cows, you really do need to feed a mineral with a high level of phosphorus. Also, just to protect yourself is that just in case there is a bit of soil contamination or something like that, look, maybe include a bit of protected zinc, a bit of protected copper, just to make sure that you're covering all those bases in particular.
Bill, when you're including beet in a TMR, what factors do you consider?
Well, when I'm looking at TMRs, whether it's in dairy or beef, the first thing I'm looking for is sort of energy densities. So generally what we're looking for is the base in most TMRs are actually grass silages in Ireland. Their ME values are something around the 10 plus or minus, whereas you consider that a real high dry matter beet, you're looking at 12 plus. So you're 20-25% above where it is. The second thing is a lot of grass silages tend to be marginal in sugar levels and high in fibre. So beet, a high dry matter beet up to 70% sugar content, that complements that low sugar, high fibre grass silages. So it really drives the palatability and your intakes.
Bill, when making your TMR, is chop length something you have to consider?
Yeah, I suppose just going back to what we covered there, the chop length is very important, both for the chop length of the fibre, which is roughly around the palm of your hand in width, which is about that length, and then also for your beet. Like the smaller you can get your beet chop, it just blends into the silage, so it stops the segregation, it stops sorting, so once they put them out in, they just take every mouthful as it comes.
Bill, a farmer considering buying beet, what are the key benefits?
The key benefits, Ned, really is that the energy density of beet going into the diet, so you can really stack energy into that. And like in dairy cows, if you need to build it up nice and slowly, but you can get up to 50% of the dry matter on beet if you need to, if silages are not up to quality or you're tight for feed. It's the same for finishing beef animals. The second one I suppose, looking at this year with input prices rising dramatically and looks like it's not going to stop anytime soon. Like if you look at beet being valued on farm at about €50 per tonne, if you break that down at a 5-to-1 dry matter for those real high dry matter beets, that's working out roughly around 25 cents per kilo for a 12 ME. So we'll take rolled barley for average sake, trading at the minute €300 a tonne at, we'll say 90% dry matter. So we've 10 more to add on to it, so that'll bring it to roughly $3.30 a tonne. And we'll bring that back again on the same dry matter basis and roughly the same protein input, and we're looking at that costing 33 cents a kilo. So there's an economic benefit there straight away, plus the benefit that with the beet, because there's a nice bulky feed, what you're doing is you have a replacement cost for silage as well. So maybe going forward for next year, if you're planning your silage requirements, fertilizer prices going up, it's a very economic to push it in as a replacement cost for beet at the back end of next year.
Bill, as a forage, is beet suitable to complement other forages on farm?
Oh, as a forage replacement or as forage supplement, it's absolutely brilliant. We know from nutrition that if you introduce a second forage into a diet, and this is very important for transition beef animals and for transition cows after calving, you automatically get an increase of between 10 and 15% in the forage intake of the animal by putting it in. Sugar. Beet has the unique advantage in that it's high in, particularly high dry matter beets are high in sugar content, and sugar makes everything very, very palatable. And what it also does then is it's very, very flexible. So for transition cow diets, it just gets the cow up, and as we can see here today, they're all just rummaging through eating, so it gets them up nice and quickly on the transition. Also on the second rotation, where grass is, dry matters are low, sugar levels are probably a little bit low, and nitrogen levels are a little bit high, that rumen degradable sugar really mops up that excess urea coming from that grass and that second rotation, so it really drives production and it really drives milk solids.
Bill, these cows are all going to go back and calf this spring. would you try and keep him consistent on beet until he gets out full time?
Yes, for the past couple of years what we've been doing on this farm is on second rotation. What we're doing is we're using probably maybe 5-6 kilos of beet, probably a half a kilo, 3/4 of a kilo nice chopped straw, and a small bit of soybean bypass protein on that second rotation. And what we find is that it drives a production really at that time. It helps to increase body look at myself, I like my sweets, so it's good to keep body condition, and body condition basically drives fertility. So if we can start rapidly gaining body condition and that second rotation, it has a huge advantage in fertility and on peak milk yield solids wise for the herd.
Bill, what's the maximum feeding rate you could feed a dairy cow?
I suppose the maximum feeding rates is basically, in my opinion, driven by management of the farm and feed space. So the key is not to overfeed beet early, so to build it up nice and gradually. And what I generally sort of say is, particularly on transition cow diets, maybe start at 3 kilos per cow and build up nice and gradually at about a kilo every second day. It sounds very little, and a lot of fellas are tempted not to do it, but like if you gradually build it up nice and steadily and you have a feed space per cow, you can get up to 15 kilos of beet, balanced properly with fibre and mineral and protein, with excellent results.
Bill, what way is beet affecting the body condition score?
Ned, body condition score is vitally important in transition cows, and the target would be is that once we lose more than 25 kilos in body weight after calving, and all cows are going to lose a certain amount of it because it's genetic inside them, that's roughly a half a body condition score. So with beet, what you're doing is you're actually putting sugar onto, we'll say, the silage and your straw and stuff like that, which is basically your Weetabix. So it's the very same as just putting sugar on Weetabix. It encourages intakes all the time, and it actually helps to promote the growth of the natural flora in the rumen to drive those intakes and drive food conversion efficiency.
Bill, there's people watching this video that are considering growing beef for the first time. You would advise that they get nutritional advice and don't walk the road alone?
Yeah, I think it's like any second forage that you're putting onto the farm, whether it be beet or maize or whole crops or whatever it is. The most important thing is that you plan for the transition to a second or third forage. We all know the benefits of transitioning onto them, and probably more important this year than ever with the price of rising inputs.
Bill, thank you so much. This is very, very informative today. For our viewers, if you want to find out anything else about beet, please contact us.